the Dodge 426 Hemi Dart, and Yenko Nova Supercar 427, two featherweight cars packing heavyweight V8s, and they just chanced upon one another at a stoplight. Forget how unlikely this meeting is. The light turns green and both drivers mash the throttle. Nearly 1,000 horsepower is unleashed. Gears are frantically rode, and at the next stoplight the winner is... Wait a minute. Dodge put a 426 Hemi in the Dart? And I thought the Nova only had a 396. Here's the rest of the story. We'll come back to the winner in a bit. The Dodge Dart, first introduced in 1960, underwent several transformations throughout its production history, but the arrival of the fourth-generation Dart in 1967 marked some of the compact car's greatest moments. Dodge responded to the ongoing muscle car wars by giving the Dart a sportier design and introducing a dedicated coupe version. The Dart also began receiving larger V8 engines, similar to those found in the Dodge Charger, Coronet, and Polara. By 1970, the Dart lineup included several powerful V8 options, and even the massive 440 cubic inch 7.2-liter V8, which generated 375 horsepower, and a car that weighed nearly 400 pounds less than the similarly powered Dodge Charger. The Dart was a seriously quick compact car. However, even before Dodge officially offered the 440, an even more extreme version of the Dart, the 426 Hemi Dart, made its way into the fold. In February 1968, Dodge dealerships across the U.S. were informed of Chrysler's plan to sell Dart models that were factory-built drag racers, designed for superstock racing. The vehicles, designed under production code LO23, were equipped with the company's most powerful engine, the 426 Hemi V8, and were explicitly sold with a no-warranty disclaimer, due to the aggressive modifications and race-oriented setup. Unlike standard production Darts, which were assembled at Dodge plants, the Hemi Dart required additional work at Hurst Performance in Madison Heights, Michigan. Hurst received partially assembled chassis and extensively modified them to enhance their drag racing capabilities. To maximize performance, Dodge made extensive efforts to reduce the Dart's weight. The standard steel fenders and hood were replaced with lightweight fiberglass panels, and the doors were acid-dipped to make them thinner and lighter. The side windows featured thinner glass and were operated with straps instead of conventional window mechanisms. Additionally, Dodge removed many non-essential components, including the rear bench seat, heater, sound insulation, carpeting, side mirrors, and the center console. The front seats were replaced with lightweight alternatives, further minimizing unnecessary weight. As a result, the Hemi Dart had an approximate curb weight of just 3,000 pounds, making it 500 pounds lighter than a 440-equipped Dart GTS. The Hemi Dart was powered by Chrysler's legendary 426 Hemi V8, a race-proven engine that had already been dominating drag strips and NASCAR tracks since 1964. This engine featured dual 4-barrel Holley carburetors, a cross-ram aluminum intake manifold, and a 10 1/4-to-1 compression ratio. Officially rated at 425 horsepower and 490 pound-feet of torque, many believe that the actual output exceeded 500 horsepower, making the Hemi Dart insanely quick in a straight line. Dodge offered two transmission options for the Hemi Dart. The first was a 4-speed manual with removed synchronizers, a heavy-duty Dana rear axle, and a 488 rear gear ratio. The second option was Chrysler's 727 Torque Flight automatic transmission with a 486 rear gear ratio. Additional performance enhancements included heavy-duty rear shocks, a high-capacity oil pump, a solid lifter camshaft, and a reinforced roller timing chain. Although they were technically street legal, the extensive modifications made these cars impractical for everyday driving, and they were primarily used for racing purposes. The LO23 Hemi Dart was a one-year-only model and was no longer available by 1969. With only 80 units built in 1968, the Hemi Dart is one of the most rare cars of the muscle car era. During the golden age of American muscle cars in the 1960s and 70s, certain individuals became legends for their contributions to high-performance automobiles. But when it came to Chevrolet performance tuning, Don Yenko stood apart as a master of modifications. Yenko, a race driver and Air Force veteran, took over his father's dealership, Yenko Chevrolet, in the late 1950s in Canonsburg, Pennsylvania. Recognizing the demand for high-performance Chevrolets, he established a speed shop and began modifying factory cars for racing. Yenko initially gained fame by tuning the Corvair Corsa into a racing variant he dubbed the Stinger. However, his real impact came with the modification of Chevrolet's more powerful muscle cars, particularly the Camaro and Chevelle. These transformations led to the creation of the Yenko Super Camaro and Yenko Chevelle, which are legends in the muscle car world. But by 1969, Yenko had turned his attention to another Chevrolet model, the Nova. The Nova SS came with several powerful engine options, including the 396 cubic inch V8, available in both 350 and 375 horsepower versions. These engines were mated to various transmission choices, such as the M21 Rock Crusher. A heavy-duty suspension, a limited slip differential, and optional 11-inch front disc brakes made the Nova SS a formidable street machine. Despite these impressive factory options, Don Yenko saw even greater potential. Chevrolet, constrained by corporate regulations and insurance concerns, refused to install the 427 cubic inch V8 into the Nova. Undeterred, Yenko devised his own solution, ordering Nova SS models equipped with the 375 horsepower 396 and replacing them with the 427 himself. This engine, boasting an 11:1 compression ratio, aluminum intake manifold, Holley's 780 CFM carburetor, and a single-point ignition system, produced a staggering 450 horsepower, 25 more than a stock 427. Each 1969 Yenko Nova supercar was equipped with a Muncie M21 4-speed manual transmission, a 12-bolt positive traction rear end with 355 or 410 gears, and the heavy-duty F41 suspension package. Braking was enhanced with the 11-inch power front disc setup and 9.5-inch rear drums. Buyers had the choice of wheels: 14x7-inch steel XT rims, rally wheels, or 14x6 Atlas mags, all wrapped in Firestone or Goodyear tires. Inside, the Yenko Nova was minimalist. The cars retained the base Nova interior with bench seats and rubber floor mats instead of carpeting. The only notable modifications included a Stewart Warner 8,000 RPM tach and an optional undergauge gas cluster to monitor oil pressure, water temperature, and amperage. Exterior styling was equally understated, with the Yenko SC badging on the rear fenders and a distinctive hood stripe giving the car a muscular appearance. The cars were available in select colors: Fathom Blue, Le Mans Blue, Garnet Red, and Rally Green, with optional black vinyl tops. In terms of performance, the Yenko Nova Supercar 427 was a beast. With its lightweight frame and 450 horsepower V8, it achieved astonishing acceleration times. It went from 0 to 60 in just 4.7 seconds, and a competent driver could accomplish a standing quarter-mile run in under 11 seconds. These numbers were almost unheard of in 1969, making the Yenko Nova one of the most formidable muscle cars of its time. Even Don Yenko himself later admitted that the cars were lethal and barely legal at best. However, the Yenko Nova Supercar 427 was a one-year phenomenon. In 1970, Yenko switched to the 350 cubic inch engine for his Novas, significantly reducing their output. Only 38 Yenko Nova supercars with the 427 V8 were ever built, and due to their extreme performance, many were wrecked, leaving only 7 known survivors today. So back to our race. In this hypothetical and highly unlikely street meeting between these two legends, the Hemi Dart would likely emerge as the victor due to its superior power-to-weight ratio. With its extensive weight reduction measures, like the fiberglass body panels and the removal of non-essential interior components, the Hemi Dart had a curb weight of around 3,000 pounds. This combination enabled it to achieve quarter-mile times in the low 10-second range, with professional drivers recording times in the 9-second bracket. In contrast, the Yenko Nova Supercar produced slightly less horsepower than the Dart and weighed in around 3,400 pounds, resulting in a less favorable power-to-weight ratio. Modern tests recorded quarter-mile times for the Yenko Nova in the low 11-second range. So, on paper, the Hemi Dart's lighter weight and a higher effective horsepower would provide it with the performance to edge out the Yenko Nova Supercar. Regardless, if these two ever did meet at a streetlight, it would be one hell of a race. If you liked the video, please take a moment to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.